All right. Program Director, guest speakers, and the staff of Ditsong, I thank you very much for this opportunity. I am very much delighted to be amongst strong women and very intelligent. And what I can say is that it's pleasing to be showered by aroma of femininity and feminism. And I've heard many speakers speaking in a way that promotes women in the society. So I am very much touched by some of the ways that were uttered by you in the support of Women's Month. My name is Thabo Moshatane. I am a residential manager from Central Gauteng Mental Health. I have been invited by NPC so that we can talk about mental health in relation to COVID-19 in a workplace. So I am very much happy that I can be part of this important conversation. But before I even go to my presentation, I just want to state something. In fact, I just want to be a bit controversial. We normally view men as very strong. But what I can tell you from a man's perspective, women are strong. Their strength and as well as their resilience are natural, whereas the strength and the resilience of a man is artificial. Why am I saying that? Because men hide from the culture, ego, as well as masculinity. And we view that as strong, whereas women are resilient naturally. And the one first speaker spoke defined resilience as the ability to overcome adversities. I'm one of the men who grew up amongst women. And when we speak about resilience, I have really experienced it firsthand. And I understand when they say that women are stronger. I believe that I support it. Therefore, power to the breast. Now, mental health. One of the most I disconnected for a while there. I hope everyone can hear me. All right, let me continue. As I was saying, mental health is one of the aspects that is misunderstood and misconceptualized. And there's high level of stigma. But what I can say is that it plays a very pivotal role in our lives. And it is the time that we have to overestimate mental health rather than underestimate it. And I am happy that as much as we are facing COVID-19, I think it gave us as a society, as communities, as individuals, to realize how important our mental health is and how we should take care of our mental health. Just to define mental health as a concept, it is a state or level of psychological well-being. How we think, how we feel, and how we act all depends on our mental health. And it can be positively and negatively affected by many internal and external factors. Then that could be our financial factors, emotional, physiological, and psychosocial factors. And how we handle our daily stresses, and how we relate to each other, how we make our choices and our decisions, it solely depends on our mental health. I remember when I once asked an interviewee in the says, no, I don't have mental health. And I then realized that mental health is not understood. When we speak of mental health, automatically people think that we talk about diagnosed conditions such as schizophrenia, bipolar, and so forth and so forth. Whereas mental health is just our well-being, which I do agree that it can be affected by many, many factors. And one of those is gender-based violence. Undermines the mental health of women, and our young children are growing, having to internalize what is happening around them in their mental health, and it affects, let me say, their mental health, and they grow to think that what they grow knowing or seeing, which is violent in their homes, is a normal way of living. Automatically, the mental health of a child has been compromised. So it is to ensure that we protect, particularly to our young children or young girls that are growing. And we can not only speak about girls, but boys as well. Their mental health is very important because they need to grow knowing that women are important and they need to be valued and should never be viewed as objects. So it's really unfortunate that we're still living in a society which views individuals with mental health problems as weak, as people that cannot deal with their problems. It's unfortunate that we're still living in a society which views mental health problems as shameful, as related to witchcraft. And it's said that we use these grounds to justify the stigma and define people who are living. Anyone is prone to experience mental health problems. Before we even speak about mental health illnesses such as bipolar mood disorder, such as depression, such as schizophrenia, stress can be a mental health problem. We normally, when we are confronted by the unknown or perceived life, there's a normal response to these uncertainties. And it is only becomes a problem when this fear or this worry or this stress continues for a long period of time and is not supervised, that it can lead to something that can affect a person for the rest of their lives. It is like a spark, you know, for us to see a wild images in many ways. It starts with a spark, and the stress, worry, and fear is just a spark that has to be taken care of at the level of just being a spark. And how do we do that? Number one, we need to communicate and talk about our fears. We have to talk about our worries and our concerns. And for one to feel comfortable and be in a space to talk about it, an environment has to be created. That is NBC, employee wellness programs are very essential, and we have to strengthen them to a point that they become objective and do not be contaminated by the office politics, if I put it that way. That employees themselves, when they have problems, either at home or in a workplace, they know that they have a support system that will enable them to be able to address what they are facing. The challenge companies, the aftermath of this COVID-19 is low productivity. Why? Because the mental health of our employees, the mental health of our people have been compromised. COVID-19 is traumatic. I had a case, 2 cases in our residential facility for people with mental illness. And my staff members, as much as they were trained, they went back. They did not want to take care of that particular resident. And I had to be the one in the front line to ensure that I care for this person. Why? Because COVID-19 presents a big challenge psychologically. And it does not only take information, it does not only take training, it takes acceptance and deal with the denial that COVID-19 is amongst us. We need to accept that it's part of our lives, and we have to make sure that we put in place systems that are going to help us to bounce back, to be resilient, and to be strong in our communication, in our interaction, in our working environment. So it's very crucial that we create a system that can allow employees in a workplace to speak about their problems. What I can, and this may be a bit controversial to all of you guys, but what I can say is, women, you have a role to play. Women of 1956, they had a collective objective, and it is that collectiveness that made them to conquer and overcome the inequality and the suppression. What collective objective do you have today as women? What do you have as women? The social problems has been presented to you. Gender-based violence is one of the objective that you need to collectively address. And I'm happy that this platform is being created. But really, are you collective in dealing with gender-based violence? I want to say that I am not satisfied as from a man's point of view, who undermines and who turn a blind eye from a cry of another woman. 2 days back, had to intervene in a situation where there was a domestic violence in one of my neighbors. And the woman was crying out for help. Surprisingly, only 3 men came out to go and assist. No woman came out. Why is that? Is it fear? Care about what happens in another woman's house. So these are some of the things that as women you need to look into. And these are the challenges that we face that we need to address, because it gives indirect power to the man who's abusive, that even if I do this, no one will stand against it. So women, you have a role to play as much as it is equivalent to the role of a man. Your mental health is very much, I think the first speaker has outlined them in justifying and substantiating on the point of resilience. Your mental health is important, and your mental health has to be strong so that you can be strong for us, to be strong for our society, to be strong for this country, because we have a bigger role to play. Lastly, from me, I just don't want to dwell more on the mental health illnesses, but to just emphasize more on the importance of mental health. The lockdown has presented many psychosocial challenges for all of us. And what I can emphasize is it has changed our lives, our ways of living, and that has led to us feeling lonely. It has presented depressive situations to us, harmful situations to us, in many young and old people in our society. I was reading an article from SADC, and surprisingly, the article reports that their helpline calls doubled since the lockdown came into effect, to a point that in a day they will take approximately 1,400 calls seeking help from them. Our community needs people who are open-minded, people that mental health problems exist amongst us, that mental health problems is not for a specific group, be it you are white, be it Indian, be it colored, be it Asian. It can affect any one of us. Whether you are in a working, middle, or elite group, it can affect any one of us. And the most important key that can address mental health problems is for us to be there for each other. Is for us in times of need. So I encourage all of you guys in a workplace or at home in your community to be somebody that is approachable, somebody who can be able to be observant and be able to be a helper when the time arises. So it is very crucial that you can be a woman who takes care of their own mental health, and not only yours, but of the other. So I available for us to discuss these things. Mental health is not something that can be understood in a day. It's something that has to be continuously instilled upon us and be spoken about daily in every social ills that we may face in our lives. So that is what I can contribute to this platform. As a man, I feel honored to also have it is something that I don't support. It is something that I wish one day I can wake up and see the numbers or the stats of domestic violence going down. Yes, it starts with an individual, but it's a collective effort. Thank you very much.